the School of Addiction. My name's Ashley. So today's topic is addiction recovery addiction recovery starts when you decide to show up. So for those who are new to the channel, my name's Ashley. I'm a therapist. I specialise in childhood and trauma, but I'm also an addictions counsellor. And I've studied addiction right the way up to PhD level. I know what it's like to have loved ones who's struggled in addiction, but I also have overcame addiction myself, which I feel like is the main reason I'm qualified to be talking. So addiction recovery doesn't wait for you to get better. It starts when you decide to show up. What I mean by that is there is always going to be a reason why you can't stop, or there's going to be a reason why you want to relapse. And I'll be real, when we want to relapse, like we're looking for any reason whatsoever to relapse. So you almost get a little bit excited when there's like, oh, something bad's happened. It means I've got an excuse to go and relapse. So you've got to keep showing up for yourself. But it isn't just keep showing up by not doing the thing. It's also showing up for yourself in, okay, what am I going to do today which is going to drive me toward great mental well-being, feeling good about myself, where I'm clocking up wins. So for example, I've been going through something shit this last week in my life, and I'm like, right, this is not my first rodeo, so what am I going to do? So I've been leaning into jiu-jitsu. I've been going to the gym, like making sure I still show up, and you've just got to keep at it, guys. So yeah, see where you can get wins, keep showing up to it, and know it's going to be hard, but if you keep pushing through, you will get through to the other end. Hi Peter, how you doing? Hi Marcus. Marcus, my man. Is this Marcus who I was talking to having the one-to-one? Because if it is, this Marcus is an incredible example of somebody who just shows up no matter what. And that's the thing, like with my bipolar, dealing with mental health, and it applies to addiction. If you just keep showing up and doing the minimum, doing the things that you don't want to do, but you do it anyways, you're going to feel great. Oh, yeah, it is Marcus. So Marcus, I'm not going to say anything about you, but just like some of the techniques that you use, which I found was outstanding. But like Marcus, no matter what, gets up and does a cold shower, even when he's struggling, cold showers, goes and does his training. It might be less training, but he still goes and does his training, and it's so important. So again, I've been talking about myself, just going to jiu-jitsu, going to the gym, doing those little things, and you'll feel good about yourself, making sure you still eat well. And it's all these little wins that you're clocking up in your addiction recovery. Every single time you think, I can't be arsed because I feel like shit, and you redirect that and do something positive that is beneficial to your health and beneficial to your mindset, you are going to be so fucking proud of yourself. And those little wins will rack up until eventually you feel immense. And yeah, you just got to keep doing the little wins. And it's hard at the beginning, but just keep pushing through. He's a large, I don't know how you say that name. What if I get addicted to you? I mean, there's worse addictions in life. At least we'll be improving my mindset. Ricardo, you're a cute girl, but sadly I only party Diddy style. Where's your husband? Does he stream too? No. That is party Diddy style, that's funny. Toaster poodle, I'm such a chopped chud. What's a chopped chud mean? Chud in Newcastle, where I'm from, it means like chewing gum, called chud. But you wouldn't chop your chud up. You just in one. Right, Joseph, quit. Yeah, I mean, yeah, quit, but you can't just quit it. You can't just quit and then feel like shit. You need to quit and then you need to start winning. So quit, then win at something different, I would say. Murad is saying, hello, sorry, what is addiction? Addiction is a problem that so you've got a problem with either a substance or a behaviour, doom scrolling, guys. Might be talking to you a lot. Don't worry, I'm in the same little camp. We all are. But a behaviour or a substance that you want to stop, that you can't stop. So it's like problematic. It's a big fucking problem. That's what addiction is. So I'm talking about all addiction, and I've overcame addiction. So I'm not laughing because it's funny. It's very not funny, but you have to laugh. It's at life in general. Right. How old am I? I am 36. I'll be 37 in a month and a half. Right. Hi, Britney Spears. I've had a few Britney Spears moments in my life. I actually cut my hair off with my kitchen scissors once, actually. And my fringe, it was up here. It was very Britney Spears, so I'll take that. Wilson, what's up, love? The hair, thank you. Big up from Glasgow. Hello from Newcastle. I fucking love Glasgow. I went to see the Stone Roses there. It was possibly one of the best gigs I've been to. It was so good. They had like all the different coloured cannons going off with I Want to Be Adored coming on. Oh, so good. Anyways, CPT. Hello, my name is Angel and I'm addicted to fentanyl. Hi, Angel. Would you like some support? If anyone's struggling in active addiction, I do free one-to-ones. Just go to my website, schoolofaddiction.co.uk. I mean, fentanyl is, you don't get more fucking tough than fentanyl. And what I'd say CPT is to work with services, but I do a free addiction group, which no one turned up now, by the way. So don't be saying you just want to come to my addiction group if you aren't going to be turning off. But if you want some support, I can support you in that. But I would say with fentanyl, like, you really are going to have to lean into anything and everything to get off it. But we can do a one-to-one and I can get you to the right places and give you some of what I know. I think for me, CPT, what I would really focus on is loving yourself and stabilising your nervous system. I think that is key to any addiction, getting over it. So, like, just practice, like, checking in with your self-talk and stuff like that. And like I say, we can do a personalised version of this. Murad is saying, I have fetish. Is it mental illness? Usually, a fetish, I saw this the other day, I haven't fact-checked this, but it would make sense. Usually a fetish links back to some kind of trauma or something where you're feeling oppressed. So, yeah. I would say not mental illness, but maybe a manifestation of some kind of mental trauma or mental anguish. Tune on me, don't you know it? Hello. Z is saying I'm an alcoholic. Again, if you're wanting some support, go to my website, schoolofaddiction.co.uk. CPT, pray for me. I'm addicted to fentanyl. Has anyone got any tips for CPT? I'm not going to pray for you. Like, come and chat to us. I'll give you a phone call, CPT. Yeah, you can do it. And also, I've got 2 people who can work for you who's managed to come off heroin, who are really good. So I'll work with you, and then I can also get you to work with somebody else who can really help you, who's actually been there and done that. Because I've got off ketamine. I'm an addiction therapist, but I've got 2 people who've gotten off heroin, which I know fentanyl is worse, but it's in the same bracket. Nate Ding saying, it seems like this might be one of them, but your bangs are beautiful, all the less, thank you. I just cut them myself, guys. I cut my hair myself. Can't be arsed with hairdressers. Right, I'm going to scroll down at the bottom because see what the comments are. Just give everyone a bit of a chance. Chris Johnson, hello, how nice to see you again, Chris. I'm starting to recognise your name a bit. Any advice on addiction or upsetting thoughts? Since my 10-year relationship ended, I'm struggling with ruminating over mistakes, negative self-chat, mourning. From Scotland also. Hello, I love people from Scotland. I've never met a jock I don't like. I don't know if that's offensive to call you that, but... But I feel like jocks are the most offensive people I've met. I love it. It's a brilliant sense of humour. Anyways, I'm stereotyping and I'm going to answer your question. So, addiction or upsetting thoughts, yeah. So I fully get it, and, you know, breakup can be a really big struggle, and I'm currently going through one myself, and it's horrible. But one thing that I did in the past is used to wallow, like what you're saying, for like spent God, nearly a year just upset, at least 6 months of just being upset in a pity me party, and it's just not helpful, and you get in a habit of doing it. So there's this tightrope that you've got to walk, I would say, where you feel your feelings. So if something triggers you and you're feeling upset, feel it. Like, don't push your emotions down, because if you push it down, it's just going to come out elsewhere. And also, if you struggle with addiction, you're going to be more likely to lean into the addiction. So feel the emotions, but try and process it. So when you're feeling it, don't just feel it and be upset, just feel it and then try and come up to it with a conclusion, like something that makes you feel like, see the situation differently. So you might do a bit of journaling, use AI, something like that, or just even end on a mantra like, you've got this. Like, yes, that happened, but it obviously wasn't meant for you. You've got this. So be proactive in the feelings. Then it's just a case of learning not to. I know that sounds really weird, but you know, like with addiction recovery, so it's like, okay, I've got a craving, and you just distract yourself from the craving. So you can either feel the craving or you distract yourself from the craving. Do exactly the same. So for me, what I've been doing is, if I feel like crap, I've made a playlist up of songs which are mint, which make us want to dance, and I just put on a good song, like put a song on and distract myself from the feeling, because it's not healthy to sit there ruminating all day, every day. And just have loads of little things that bring you joy and do it. So like doing little activities with my son, or do things with like your friends and family, but just distract yourself, because your brain will learn to not sit there ruminating on it, because it becomes learned behavior. So I hope that was helpful. If you want a one-to-one, there's a lot more stuff that you can do for breakups. They're not easy. It's grief and loss. So I can go through that with you as well if you want to do that. Just go to my website, School of Addiction. Zaza, I don't know if that's how you say it. I found in my life, without speaking too much, child abuse was the root. Then when we realised nobody supports or believes. Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I've spoke about this all the time, but like, there's so much research which supports the fact that if you experience child abuse, you are immensely more likely to have an addiction. Hugely, because especially if it's repeated child abuse, because if you think about it, what's happening is your brain is in fight or flight, and then it becomes in severe fight or flight, and then later on you discover substances recreationally, and all of a sudden it just calms you down, and then that can be, right, this is addictive, because I've never known a calm, at peace feeling in my own body. I've never felt so relaxed and safe in my body. And that's the feeling that I had as an addict. Like, it was just like, oh, this is nice. So I would say, if anyone who's had that, really work on stabilizing your nervous system. And you can do this before you remove the addiction. I would say for anyone, and even going back to Christopher, like, around the relationship breakdown, practice stabilizing your nervous system. Just take some deep breaths, calm yourself down, relax every part of your body, and then just say something like, I'm in control, I've got this. Just some kind of mantra. I say I've got this. I was taught to say I'm in control. I'm like, it's fine, we've got this. Or if you find an addiction really hard, just relax your body, take a deep breath and say, yes, this is fucking hard, but I'm harder. Or yes, this is nails, but I'm more nails. And I do that in every situation that's difficult. Again, you can apply this to breakup. It's fucking hard, but I'm harder. And yeah, I would say that. But yeah, it 100% makes sense. And it's a shame that people aren't believing you. I'm really sorry about that. And that's a big portion of why I'm doing what I'm doing, is to try and break down this stigma and try and like educate. And I've had honestly, it made us feel really icky. I had healthcare professionals come on here, try and argue with us, telling us that it's the individual's fault that they've got an addiction. And I was like, no, no. All the research, not one piece of research I've studied in over 10 years has ever said it's the individual's fault. So I'm really sorry the experience and people not believing you, but I believe you and the research supports you. Chris is saying, thank you so much for that. It helps to know that I'm not the only one too. Yeah, I tend to go godify those I am partner with, so it's just working on self-value rather than putting it in someone else. Absolutely. And do you know what it is? Like, that's one thing I think where I found finding it more easy, like still terrible and heart-wrenching, you know, it's grief and loss. If you care about somebody and then you break up, like it's horrible. There's very little pain like it. And especially when you're an addict and you can't then reach for the alcohol or the thing that, you know, the ketamine or whatever it is for me. I've even quit vaping, which is kind of annoying. I can't even have a vape. But it is horrible. But if you know who the fuck you are, then you get to have this, like, when I'm saying the distraction, you get to say, right, calm your nervous system and just say, right, that didn't work out, but you're amazing. You know, you'll find your person because you're amazing. So instead of thinking about them being amazing, remind yourself just how amazing you are. And if you can't believe yourself enough to think that you're amazing, start working on that. Start training your brain to start focusing on the things that you do. Like, so I'm going to actually, because I feel like this is a big part of addiction recovery. If we're struggling to love ourselves, telling yourself things that don't feel true is not going to work. So for instance, I'm going to do this on body image first, but say for instance, you, okay, I used to hate my nose. And I used to say, like, you couldn't sit there and say, like, no, you've got a little cute, tiny button nose, when I don't. I love my nose now, by the way, that's why I got it pierced. But I couldn't sit there and say, you've got a little cute button nose and just lie to myself, because my brain would be like, no, you don't. So instead, what I'd do is focus on the things I do like. So our brains can tend to focus on the negative stuff, flip the script, focus on the positive stuff. So I would focus on things I do like my eyes, my smile, my freckles, and every time I look in the mirror, compliment on that instead of my nose and my skin that I didn't like. Okay, so flip the script. Now you can do that on your personality as well. So if you're always like, oh, like I'm shit, like nobody loves us, flip the script and say, well, no, I'm kind, or genuine compliments that you believe about yourself. I'm kind, I'm empathetic, I'm funny. And write down a list of the characteristics that you like about yourself. And if you can't think of any, ask your friends or your family. Just say, I need some help, and ask them, and they'll give you the characteristics. So, and just constantly tell yourself that. So when you're entering a relationship, you're not sat there thinking, oh my God, this person's amazing, they're all these things. You enter in thinking, yeah, they are all these things, but I've got this list of things that I've got that's amazing, and they're lucky to know me. So now I'm going to vet them to see if they're worth being in my life. And this works for addiction recovery as well. If we are putting ourselves down, it's going to be hard to live in that mental headspace without addiction. So the more we learn to love ourselves and practice it, the more secure we're going to feel in our brains, which means the less we're going to need to be numbing ourselves out with whatever. Right, I'm going to scroll around. Farid is saying, how did I overcome ketamine addiction? I went to war with my brain. I went to war. I was already learning to love myself first, so I think that really helped. So every time I was having a craving, I felt like shit. I was just like coaching myself through it. So I was just like, you're doing great, Ash. This is fucking solid, but you're fucking solid. You've got this. Just keep going. And just constantly like out loud talk to myself like that, I think was a big thing. But I'd already learned to love myself enough before I'd removed it. What else? Oh, how did I overcome social anxiety? I never had social anxiety in the sense of I'm ADHD, so I've always been a very sociable person. But I'm also like autistic, so I've got like this weird. Is anybody else like an extroverted introvert? So like I'm very extroverted, but at the same time, like I get like weird, like like when so if I'm going to a party or something like that, I'm like, oh, I don't want to deal with people. I'm gonna say the wrong thing, blah blah blah. And then I get there and I just like own the room. I'm fine. And then I come away think like, why was I so weird and awkward? So I got over that by just, again, positive self-talk. So like anytime I feel nervous, I'm like, no, actually, you're actually fine when you get there. Like evidence supports that you are fine when you get there. Everybody loves you, you're great, you're kind, you'll be fine. So just, again, positive self-talk. The more you love yourself, the more you'll throw yourself into a situation even though you're scared, and just do it. And that's helpful for social anxiety, for addiction recovery, getting over relationships, starting a YouTube channel, whatever it is that you want to do. Just learn to love yourselves. Sometimes people hate me though, Frederick. I mean, look, as long as you're not actively being a dickhead, like I'm never going to promote being a dickhead. Nobody likes a dick. But as long as you're not actively being a dickhead, like a lot of people do. I've had so many people hate me in my life, just for no reason, decide they don't like us. And I used to really internalize that. Now I'm just like, and like that's fine. Like if you don't like us, that's fine. Just don't go over there and don't like us. I think like I think I used to take it really personally, and now I just don't care. Like I've always had it. And the more you love yourself, the more bulletproof you become. Because if you genuinely work on day in, day out, guys, on loving yourself, which I used to fucking hate myself, like absolutely fucking hate myself head to toe. But I've practiced now for 7 years, so biggest fan. So if you practice learning to love yourself day in, day out, what will start happening is that will become such a core belief that if anybody hates you, you're like, well, obviously you don't know us properly. Obviously you're just projecting on your insecurities onto me. Obviously you've took something and you've ran with it, because if you knew us, you would love us, because I'm fucking mint. And it's not just about being arrogant, it's about also doing the work, being somebody that you love. You can't just like be, oh, I'm a cunt but I love myself. No. You've got to actively be a kind, caring, empathetic, boundaried person. Be someone you're proud of, but then also back yourself, and you will become bulletproof, Frederick. So yeah, fuck the haters. It's more about them than you anyways. People always project shit on you. Dallas is saying the more you focus on other people's welfare and trying to help others, you won't be so tied up in yourself. Yeah, look, and I would be scared that people pleasers would think just keep doing for others. There is such a tightrope you've got to walk on, and that tightrope is, it's not always about me, but it's not never about me. So I am so fucking boundaried as a person. Like I'm really boundaried. However, I also give up my time for free doing one-to-ones with people who are struggling in addiction. So like, sometimes we think that, oh, if I'm really nice and I never say no and I always do things for people and I never say that you're upsetting us, that I'm a really nice, kind person. No, you're a people pleaser. And I used to be a people pleaser. And what happens with people pleasing is you end up building up resentment and you eventually end up despising people in situations. So it's not something, a good thing. But if you have boundaries, so it's not never about me, but you still do, like what Dallas is saying, you still support other people, you still do kind things for other people, you still put them first and go out of your way for people and, be empathetic towards them and non-judgmental and etc., then you're going to be a much more well-rounded person, and that is someone to be proud of. So yeah. Raymond is saying, Kindanian, you don't take ownership of no woman bottom line. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, good point. You must have boundaries, but forcing yourself 100% of the time isn't healthy either. Yeah, sorry, focusing on yourself. Yeah, it is. It's a tightrope, guys. We've got to be, and I always think it's never about me. It's not always about me. Just boundary, be there for other people. But okay, here's another way to think about it. Love other people, okay, but also make sure you are in that group of people, because sometimes what we do is we focus on loving everybody else and we don't love ourselves. If you're going to treat people one way, you've got to treat yourself the other way. And that means if you would tell your friend, like that boyfriend's no good for you, that friend's no good for you, that your boss is shit, tell yourself that. So include yourself in that group of people that you're giving to and you're running around like a blue horsefly for. So love yourself and others. The other thing I'd say is really helpful is how we treat ourselves, we treat others. So if you always try and practice the art of giving yourself grace as a human being. So I am a messy human being who makes mistakes, and I'm acting out of all the traumatic, shitty experiences that every single human has is shaped how I'm showing up today. So I'm going to give myself grace if I make a mistake and I do something wrong, aka addiction, or I don't know, whatever. I've made a mistake. I don't know, I cheated on someone in the past. Whatever it is. I've never cheated, but whatever it is. Just thinking of shitty things. So give yourself grace for that, but try and do different. So give yourself grace, but take accountability. And then apply that to other people. So give other people grace, but also hold them accountable. And your life will massively improve. Honestly, it's the gold star on how to love yourself and love others. Grace with accountability for yourself and others. Right, let's see what other people are saying. I'm getting a bit ranty, guys. Sorry, I don't know what's going on with us today. Just a bit preachy. I someone's put 2 pence in us today. I've honestly just been coping by napping, but here I am, like, up at 2:30 in the morning where I live. Oh, yeah, I mean, that is the problem. Napping is a sign of, like, depression and defeatist. What else are you doing, Zaza? Are you doing other little wins? Napping is great if that's what you need to do, but also try and get other little wins in. Just, like, little tiny things that you can say, I did that. I never got mental health services because I don't have healthcare. So I can do a one-to-one with you. I can't be a therapist, so it's not therapy, but I can certainly do a one-to-one and give you a little game plan if that's helpful to you. Yeah. Hales, only my family or my friends are dead, or I shut them out. Fucking fair weather friends, they always around for the drugs, I mean. But when my drugs run out, they out the door again. Yeah, fucking friendships built on a buzz. Bender mates. It's not good. It's not good for morale. They're not friends. And look, let's be real. I've got to be real. I was that friend. Like, that is exactly, you've got friends who are dealers and you like hang around them like flies because that's the addicted brain. And I'm nothing like that as a friend. Like, I'm so ride or die for my friends, but it was self-centered when I was an addict, because that's what the addicted brain is like. So yeah, it's not necessarily their fault, but you definitely deserve better. Vinyl Productions, 1%. We are happy, like, share, subscribe. All my like already stuck there. I don't know what you're saying, but yeah, please give us a subscribe, guys. It's a really super free way to help my channel get to where it needs to be, and likes and stuff is great. Yeah, right. No rebuke is possible. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm not going to read about Satan just because it's not a faith-based channel. Although I am spiritual. I'm just trying to be, just trying not to make people feel uncomfortable. Right, Chris is saying, my ex taught me about this thing called Cartman's Triangle Rescue. Oh, Cartman's. It's with a K, I think. Cartman's Triangle Rescue a Victim Perpetrator. People pleasing. I love this, you know. I live for this. And once you know it, guys, you cannot unsee it. Yeah, I'll give you a little breakdown of it. And people pleasing puts you in this cycle. It's like breeds resentment because you're burnt out. Yeah, so Cartman's Triangle. And I'm going to tell you where I sat on it, and it was not pretty. So let's see if you know somebody in your life who's like this. So it's a little test. If you know somebody in your life who acts like this, or if you are somebody, and when I learned about it in my counselling training, I realised I am one of those people, which wasn't fun. So we've got Cartman's Triangle, and basically it's this type of therapy called transactional analysis, where we all play social games. Everyone does it. And it's this idea that you have one person who is stuck in victim mode. So it's that person who, and I was victim. So it's that person who's like, this person's doing this to us. This person is taking the piss. That person did this nasty thing. This person is always asking us for lifts. That person is this. I can never catch a break. Blah, blah, blah. And it's just always this person, that person. You're in victim mode. And when you're in victim, you've always got a rescuer. So there is always, the rescuer is the person that you're saying, this person does this, that person's done that, da-da-da. So they're the rescuer. You're constantly saying it to them. And then you've got the perpetrator. So the victim always has a perpetrator, and the perpetrator is this person. Now, we all switch roles. So sometimes the person that you're rescuing, so the person that you're complaining about, the perpetrator, sometimes you flip the script and now the perpetrator is the rescuer. So you basically, victim sits there slagging everyone off. Now, what you can do if you are the victim, because that's where I was, and it was a harsh truth that I woke up to, and I was like, ugh, that's not cool. Don't like that. So what you can do is empower yourself with boundaries. Instead of going to the rescuer, go to the perpetrator and speak to them about how you feel. And you can do it in an empathetic way. So you can say, look, I know you're probably not mean it now because I've known you long enough to know that you're a lush person. However, when you're doing X, I feel Y. So can we do Z? So putting boundaries and remove the rescuer altogether. Go directly to the person. The other thing is, if you're the rescuer and you've got the victim who's constantly coming to you, then what you can do is empower them and say, look, don't you think it's best that you go to them? I think it would be good if you spoke to them. I can see you're really hurt. Why don't you put in a boundary with them? So try, or I can see you're really good. What can you do? So get them to be proactive. Let's hash this out and get a plan together. And finally, if you're the perpetrator, and I've been the perpetrator as well, I've been all three. We've often been all three of these roles, most people. When you've been the perpetrator, just be direct and go and speak to the person and say, look, I notice that you're upset. I can see off your body language or your tone you're upset. Can we talk about this? Because I'd like to work it out. But yeah, I love drama triangles. Everybody does it and it's not nice. Let us know. Does anybody know anyone has anyone ever been in a drama triangle? Tico, how you doing? Tico said, yeah, I've pinned your comment, thank you. Robert's saying, can you please send us some fish and chips and mushy paste because I'm stuck here in the US. Oh, I love fish and chips, so I'm a vegetarian, I can't even eat it. No, I'm not from Ireland, I'm from Newcastle. So let's see what other people are saying. I'm an honest drug addict. I work for myself. My customers know me, but they overlook my character defects for my craftsmanship. What do you mean by that, Hales? Oh, Like they well, look, I'm not being funny, but just because you're a drug addict doesn't mean that you're a shit person. That you're not. So like, I don't get why people. What I don't get about society, I literally don't get it, is why as a society, well, I do get it because I know exactly where it came from. You can trace it back to policy in the 1980s. A policy change, and it's just leaked out into society. But what I really don't get is why you would look at somebody who's struggling with addiction and think, oh, I'm going to put them down. I know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go kick that person when they're down. I think that would be better. Like when they're on the knees, I'm just going to like rub their face in the floor. Fuck off. Like, fuck off, please. It's absolutely mental. So yeah, I don't know, like you're saying they overlook your character defects because of your craftsmanship. Well, yes, well they should. Like, so they should overlook the fact that you struggle with addiction. In fact, they should have compassion for you that you're going through something that fucking hard and still showing up and being a fucking badass craftsmanship. A lot of people couldn't do it. A lot of people could not be dealt the cards of an addict and keep going every day. And I tell you what, even more couldn't actually come away from it. So it's mental. Boosted is saying, I like your style. Me style of rant or me style of fashion. I don't know what style we're talking about here. Gino's saying it's to make themselves superior, better. It's an ego thing. What's an ego thing? I'm not sure which bit you're talking about. You're talking about the drama triangle or just randomly shaming addicts. Honestly, I remember walking across the road once and there was somebody struggling with addiction, and I went and got them a bottle of water because they'd like practically passed out, like slid down Greg's. And I was like, they are having a roughing. Like, I know that feeling. So I went and got them a bottle of water and I was walking across a crossing. And this woman, like, came up to us and she said, oh, I wouldn't talk to her. She's a local addict. And I was just like, sorry, what are you getting out of this? Like, so I actually turned around and said, oh, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. I used to be an addict myself. And she sharp shut up. I've never seen someone look so red in all my life. But, like, what is it with society? Like, look, someone's just slid down a wall. They're clearly struggling. Let's just slag them off and shame somebody who's like showing them a bit of compassion. Fucking warped. It's mental. Tico's saying inappropriate comments will get banned. Tico, honestly, leave them, because the people who were sent, unless they're inappropriate to people who are struggling in addiction. So if they're saying something back to someone, but if they're just being a dick or inappropriate to me, let them crack on. They're actually doing the legwork for my channel. But yeah. Dad Archer, I went through drug addiction through my teen years. Ever since I got back from the army, I had a constant alcohol dependency, was raised as a pastor's kid. Dad bod, that makes absolute sense that you're struggling with addiction after alcohol. So like, I'm sitting here saying people don't understand about addiction, they take the mick out of it. So addiction always comes from a root cause, and all of the research supports that. Now, particularly with veterans, I used to be head of veteran charity, and when I was doing my PhD, my proposal was around veterans and addiction. And again, all of the research says that there is a much stronger likelihood of addiction when leaving the services. So that one, I hope that you're not shaming yourself for that. And I'm not trying to say, like, downplay it by saying it's normal, but I'm just trying to let you know this is normal, it's textbook. So let's just try and think about, okay, how we're going to get out of it. If you want a one-to-one dad bod, go to my website, School of Addiction, which I think Tico has said, yeah. Go on the link that Tico on my pinned comment, and I'll get you to the right places, and we'll also hash it out. Also, alcohol is really common because of things like mess and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I'm really sorry that you're going through that. But if you want some support with it, please do get in touch. But I hope you know that that is really common among veterans, because for many reasons, many reasons. And there's a lot of research around addiction with veterans for that reason. Right, let's see what else. Best. I was thinking about finally quitting kratom this morning after the withdrawal sucked when waking up. Yeah, I mean, have you been reducing down? That might be a good starting place. But I know people who went cold turkey off it. I don't know people who just went cold turkey. Right, somehow I am only sensitive to weed when it comes to addiction. I can do anything else and I never crave it. So with weed, what about, well, look, we all have our drug of choice. I used to take many drugs and alcohol. Like, I just didn't have a sober day in the whole of my 20s and early 30s. But I didn't get hooked on one particular thing. It was just kind of like a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But when I ended up quitting, when I got hooked on something, it was ketamine, and that was my drug of choice. So we all tend to have one thing. So for you, it's weed. I will say if you're smoking joints with tobacco in, it's going to be chemically addictive. So what I would do is try and remove the tobacco if that's what you're doing. Obviously, I know some people have bongs and pipes and stuff, but I would say that might be a reason it's making it harder. But also look at, so if we're addicted to a specific drug, we all have a drug of choice, the front runner, or maybe it's like porn, like behavior or whatever. Think about what is it that is specific about that is helpful to you. So for me, for ketamine, I've got ADHD and autism and bipolar. My brain is ridiculously fast. It's rapid and it's constantly on the go. So horse tranquilizer, ketamine, was like sedating my brain. It was like turning the dial down. So for me, I had to learn to turn the dial down on my brain, or at least make my brain a better place to be in. So yeah, think about what is it that weed or the addiction you have, what purpose is that specific thing doing that maybe other substances aren't? Is your t-shirt Nike or Nello's Nike brand? It's, well, Adidas original, obviously. I don't know if you've been, I feel like you've been sarcastic, but I'm also autistic, so I took a little second. Gino's saying that's crazy. I have autism and ADD as well. I hope the no tobacco tip will help. Yeah, hopefully. But if it's, yeah, so that you do find a lot of time with so it's also a dopamine situation. You're like trying to get those little dopamine hits with ADHD. Gino, you're free to have a one-to-one if you want. Absolutely. If I would find something else where you can get dopamine from and do it not baked, and just try and do it when you would have a joint. So if you wake and bake, so for instance, like martial arts is mint, but you might just like the gym if you don't already do that. Maybe you go for runs, something where like a cold shower, just different things where you can get dopamine, and try and put off your first joint. So get rid of the tobacco for a start. If you don't smoke cigarettes, by the way, you don't have nicotine, that might be quite hard. So maybe reduce down the tobacco because that's a chemical addiction. But say, for instance, you wake and bake, what I'd do is I would put it off and do something where you get dopamine, and then have it after, and just try and tackle the habits as well, and try and just get a little bit of control. Oh God, my nose is so itchy. I've got a cold. Don't have any tissue either. Raymond, Hail Slayer. I've never tried heroin. Glad I didn't. Yeah, fucking hell. Is Hail Slayer a name? Is someone talking about it? Yeah, I'm so fucking glad that I haven't tried heroin. Oh, Hail Slayer COVID. Hello, Hail Slayer. I don't know what your first comment was. I can't find it though. It gets lost in a sea of comments. Sorry for people whose comments I'm missing. Has anyone got any tips for people on for early addiction recovery? Tony is always right. I would argue that nobody's ever always right. Growing up is a painful, traumatic experience when struggling with addiction at the same time. Growing up is a painful, traumatic experience when struggling with addiction at the same time. Yeah, and look, I would imagine that it was a painful, traumatic experience anyways that led you to that. But yeah, it is. And the thing is, when we remove the addiction, then we've got we don't only have the reason why we started the addiction in the first place, which is usually subconscious, but we've also got all the shit that's happened. Like, addiction itself is traumatizing, or it can be. Certainly was for me. So yeah, it's really hard when we then have to deal with removing the addiction crutch. We've got all this shit that we've got to deal with, all these things that have been pushing down and traumas, and it's not easy. So Taco is saying addiction is more of a societal problem than an individual one, in my opinion, sorry. Absolutely, it's not an individual problem at all. It's really not. It's an attempt to soothe something, like some kind of underlying emotional or physical pain, whether that's disconnection from society, whether that's all of the shit that comes with growing up in poverty, like whether it's it's because you've had childhood trauma, abuse, you know, all these different, like sexual abuse, all these different things, whether you've got physical pain, maybe you smoke weed because you've got really bad back pain and fibromyalgia, but I would argue fibromyalgia is a manifestation of shit childhood. So, you know, it's not an individual's problem, it's a societal problem, and it's also a welfarist issue. Right, I'm starting to get tired, so I will stay on for another 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes, answer some questions, and I'm gonna go. John is saying self-hypnosis heals addiction and good nutrition helps concentration. Try light therapy. Yeah, that is a good combo, I would say. And guys, you can do addiction hypnosis on YouTube for free. Go do that. I think with addiction, it's not just one thing. You've got to tack it up from all angles. And same for mental health. You know, if you're struggling with depression or generalized anxiety disorder, bipolar, like me, you've got to attack it from all angles. So it's no one thing, it's every fucking thing at once. And it might be that you start off like one thing and layer up rapidly on top of it, but you've just got to snuff it out. So there's no room for addiction. Gino's saying, thank you so much for this. You're inspiring and sweet. Thank you. I wouldn't say I was sweet. Maybe I've got a sweet side. I'm a little bit cheeky as well, though. I'm not all sweet. I'm not all sunshine and rainbows, that's for sure. Taco is saying, everything you've said basically applies to me, by the way. That's kind of crazy. I have scoliosis, got PTSD, legs constantly hurt. It's kind of bad, to be honest, but I'm still here. Do you know what it is? Yeah, that is, you've got heavy fucking, really heavy set of cards you've been dealt there, but it sounds like you're really fucking resilient. And that's the thing, you know, we can either we can't change what life has thrown at us. We literally can't. But we can either sink and drown and have a pity party, or we can say, right, whatever's happened is fucking shit, but I refuse to let it ruin the rest of my life. So I'm going to learn to swim instead of drown. And that might be hard. It might take learning many different things, many different strokes, but I'm going to fucking do it. And yeah, it sounds like you've done that. And that's really fucking great, because if you can learn that, then you'd literally feel bulletproof, and that is a good place to be. And for me, it's almost worth all the fucking no, not almost, absolutely fucking worth all the shit that I've been through, all the abuse and traumas and addiction and everything that I've had is so fucking worthwhile to feel like this. So yeah, just keep at it, guys. I'm really tired, and I think when I start to get my brain only has about 45 minutes to an hour in it, and then it starts to turn to mush. And what I don't want to do is answer questions with my brain like flatlining, because I might do more harm than good. So I'm going to do one last thing and then I'm going to go. Dad, bod, Archer, what are some things you personally have done to deal with your addiction? Thank you for what you're doing here. I was also injured during my army experience and can no longer swim every day, but I think it's good advice. Because at a point we're just drowning on the inside, right? Yeah, so the best thing I learned to do, and like, look, dad bod Archer, if you want to have a one-to-one, please do lean in on us. I've used to be head of counselling for a veteran charity. I've worked a lot with veterans, and I'm not a veteran, so I'm a civvy street fucking idiot, but I know how yous work. I have a bit of understanding of that, and I can absolutely try and help you. But I'd say the biggest thing that I did for my addiction recovery, 2 things, is I learned to love myself. So I tackled my mindset. And this is something, do you know what it is? In the army, a veteran, you should be able to do this. Like, just start drilling with yourself. Like, I am not, like, if you feel like you can't do this, like, yes, you fucking can. If you can do that, you can do this. So that's what I would tell myself, like, because I came through my addiction recovery after I gave birth. So for me, I would remind myself of another time where I was fucking solid, and that was giving birth I gave birth with no medication. I'm like, if you can do that, you can get through fucking craving. So that was a big thing. The second thing that I would do is like big myself up, just say like, you're fucking smashing it, you're amazing. So positive self-talk, not just motivating, but learning to love yourself. The other thing was regulating your nervous system, and just learning to do that. Now, I will say though, Dad bod and Archer and anyone who's listening, if you are struggling with alcohol, it is so important that you don't just stop it, because it can be fatal. Your body can go into shock, have seizures, and you can die. And I'm not saying this to, doom and gloom and to scare you. I'm saying it's really important that you either do it with a healthcare professional, or if you don't want to do that, at the very least, use AI to get a plan on how much you're using and how much to go down, so you're reducing down safely. But please, Dad bod, do lean into us. Go to my website, and I'm happy to do a free one-to-one with you. And it doesn't need to be now. It can be whenever. Just write it down. Recovery doesn't need to start when you stop the thing. I say this all the time, and I'm going to end on it. Your recovery does not need to stop when you remove the addiction. Your recovery can stop beforehand. Learn to love yourself. Focus on your mindset. Relax your nervous system. Learn to breathe. Tackle your cravings just by pushing that addiction back for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Start before if you're not ready to stop now. But anyways, guys, I've loved speaking to you. If I've missed anyone's comments, go to my website. I've replied to everyone. I'm a single mum, so I'm a one-man band. So I do take a little hot minute to reply, but I do get back to everyone. If anyone can please give us a subscribe, that's a super free way to help the channel and help us get to the people who need us. But if not, just thanks for coming. Somebody's saying, just because you were trash, it doesn't mean you can't do great things. It's called garbage can, not garbage cannot. Meet in my mirror. No person is fucking trash. If you think you are trash, you need to look in the mirror and work out why you're a fucking min person. So when you ain't trash, guys, let's like reframe that. But I do like the comment. Right, see you later. Bye.